So I have asked acclaimed Egyptian filmmaker and film independent global media makers fellow Ayten Amin, whose film Swad was recently included in the official selection of the Cannes Film Festival 2020, making her the first Egyptian female director to be included in the festival. So congratulations, Ayten, and welcome. And I know you're as excited as I am, so just take it away.
And I have a lot of questions. I'm very curious about a lot of things of the show because, you know, the first time I heard about it, I had a subscription in Hulu last year, and I didn't know anything about the show, and then it popped up, Ramy, and I didn't understand why there's an Arabic name in a show, and then I started watching it, and I actually really liked it. That I actually watched it like in 2 days or something. The first season, I loved it,
cool.
and I was very surprised that you actually shot in Egypt. So I wanted to ask you, Yani, how did you get to make it? I mean, was it easy? Yeah, I think it's not that easy to make a show about a Muslim family, an Egyptian family on TV, and even I don't know with the political climate now in the US. I don't know if it's easy or not to do something like this on TV.
Well, I think in general, and like, you know this, it's like, it's really hard to make anything. Like making something is almost impossible. It's like impossible to actually go from having the idea to being able to make it. And so that in and of itself is really, anything you see on TV obviously is just like a crazy accomplishment. And then there's the level I think you're talking about of, I mean, we hadn't seen an Arab Muslim family. And I think really centering the story around its Arabness and centering the story around that this is a Muslim family and this is a Muslim character who is really trying to figure out his faith. And I think in general in the Hollywood landscape, there are not a lot of executions of any sort of faith story, let alone like the one that we're looking at now. So there's a level of difficulty in how to do that in a way where it feels approachable for people. But I think by the time I pitched my show, the industry was ready for an Arab Muslim story in a way that they hadn't been. You know, I started doing comedy a while, you know, I was pretty young. Yeah, I started doing stand-up and making things pretty young, you know, I would say around a little bit over 10 years ago. And I remember when I started, that was the time where if your name was Muhammad, you might just want to be Mo. If your name was Walid, you might just want to be Wally or Will. You know, you would try to seem like maybe you weren't what you were, or you would try to seem like you didn't have to just be that. Now we're in a time where it's almost like the harder your name is to pronounce, the more attractive it might be. Like, I think Hollywood is now starting to celebrate diversity in a way that they didn't before. They're very slow. They're very, very behind. I think it took a lot of hate and a lot of misconception to finally get here. But I do feel like by the time we started to make this show, people were starting to be a lot more open-minded to this kind of story being told.
You have Aslan any connection with the Egyptian comedy? Yeah, you actually watch Egyptian comedies or Egyptian shows or comedians?
I grew up watching it, and I think like the you know, like I probably, like any American Arab kid, probably grew up watching Asal Iswad like on repeat. You know, and really like, you know, getting the idea to me of Egyptian cinema and TV was always like really exciting. And I always, you know, we had in New Jersey, every Arab family has the dish, you know, and you're out there putting it on the roof and trying to get all the Egyptian channels sent over. So we were, you know, watching everything, and then now
what I really liked about Ramy, and when I started watching it, the first thing that actually that I really loved about the show was that it was very authentic to the culture. Yani, usually when I see Egyptians or يعني Arabs on screen in the US, it's usually يعني it's not true. It's either they speak in a different way or مثلا يعني the references of everything, the references of the songs and the Hani Shnuda music and يعني that was totally different than what I was expecting. Because I didn't know that he knew Arabic or anything. I expected على طول إنه he will be an American and it's كده. It will not be authentic.
And then we're talking about Princess Diana for 6 minutes, and you're like, oh wait, yeah, this is Arab, you know, for sure, yeah. You're like, oh yeah. There's no must-see dinner without like Princess Diana, you know.
Oh, we're very proud of the story.
طبعا.
So I want to ask you برضو how does it work in the writing room يعني how does it work in writing? How do you write and the people you write with the people who write with you are they are برضو Arab Americans or Americans or
The ideas always start with we're always kind of trying to revolve around something that I'm interested in, and I'm doing it in stand-up, whether it be something that I care about, whether it be something that is kind of a real story, whatever it might be, we're looking at that, and then we're putting it in our world. You know, we kind of had a goal of the show, which was really to show somebody of my age, my generation, who's really trying to hold on to his faith and trying to hold on to his culture while the world around him is really changing, and he's kind of battling that, and he's battling his ego, his nafs, you know. So we know that's what we want to do, and I think the writing process is very much finding the right ideas that support that and that can show that. And I think the way we collaborate is really fun because I don't know if the exact numbers, it's probably half, but maybe between consultants and stuff, there's a few more people who are Muslim. But it's really an interesting balance for me to have people in the writer's room who are Muslim, who are Arab, and then people who aren't, because there's people in the room that I can relate with who know what I'm talking about. And then there's people who don't know, and then we're explaining to them. But while we're explaining it, we're kind of figuring it out in how we're going to explain it to an American audience. So there's value to having people in the room and collaborating with people who don't share the same exact background as you, but they're asking questions so that they can support the story that you want to tell. So I make it very clear the type of story we're trying to tell. I make it very clear that we want to center this story around these goals and around this culture and this character and this family. And then we get into a lot of debates and a lot of conversations, and we have a lot of fun, you know, figuring out.
I was also very interested that you dedicate episodes of the show to other characters. In season 1 and 2, you have a whole episode with the sister or with the mother or even with the father and Uncle Nassim. And I have to say that I loved the episode of Uncle Nassim because I was literally shocked in the first scene, and I had to continue because I was shocked because it's very honest and it's very authentic, and I was also wondering. It's not easy that you don't have an inner censorship, because I think we all have the way we've been brought up, that you have an inner censor to talking about certain topics, or even when you talk about them in a conservative way. We usually do this here. I was really blown away by the episode because it was really very, very real and very authentic, very honest. So how was it for you? Did you ever have this inner censor?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot that goes into making the show where it feels, I care about the culture, right? It's like I care about the because I care about the people and I care about where I come from and I care about my family, I don't want to embarrass anybody and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings and I don't want to do those things naturally. The thing that I think I battle with, and that I think a lot of creators battle with especially when you're talking about a group that hasn't really been represented in any way. But I think specifically with this culture, because I really care about the culture and I really care about the faith and I care about the people in it. And so you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and you don't want to, I care about what my family thinks. I care about all these things, but I also care about making something that feels real and that can make people feel less lonely, because that's the whole point. The whole point of making something in this sphere of any sort of art is to do something that it's not supposed to be logical. It's not supposed to be correct. It's not supposed to be appropriate. It's supposed to touch something that is hard to touch in real life. That's why we watch it. We watch it for an escape. The escape is not intended to make it go away. It's more an escape into a space where fiction can do things that we can't do in real life and that we can't get into, but it could inspire real life conversations. But the only way it's going to do that is if you talk about things that aren't being talked about. And so I think your question's a really good one, because I think it's what a lot, especially if we're talking about Arab Muslim creators, is what a lot of us face and feel. And a lot of what I've wanted to do with this show is to just kind of be like, it's okay to take those risks. You have to take those risks, but you obviously have to do them with as much skill as you can. You can't just do it to do it. But I think that's almost helped me make, I think, work that's better, because I know if I'm going to cross a certain line, there's almost this level of perfection that will be demanded in order to do that.
When I really admire this about you, because as a filmmaker, مثلا in Egypt, when I'm working, it's not just about the limitations that I have with the censorship. It's about the limitations that I have personally, because the way I was brought up, it's not easy to say everything in the open and to say everything out loud, and it's not. And also you have to deal with the people around you, with your family. So how was it with your family? How was the reaction to the show?
It was good. I mean, I told them that I kind of gave them a big warning. I was like, the show, you're not gonna like it. It's really inappropriate. You're gonna hate it. Please don't hate. I really kind of like made it sound like it was gonna be, like, I think they thought it was gonna be porn, and then they watched it and they were like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as you said it was. So they've been, I think what they've been really excited by, I think, is that they love, I think just on a filmmaking level, my parents watch a lot of TV and they watch a lot of movies. So they just love how the show is made, and I think they really appreciate it. Like my dad will talk to me about the lighting. But I think that they also are really, they're uncomfortable with a lot of things, and there are certain things obviously that I do that they would never do, or they would never tell me that they thought I should do. But I think ultimately they like that the show is not attacking the faith or the culture, that it's more looking at people who are struggling in it. And so it's I think that's important for them. And so they really like it.
So, and how did you get how did you do the casting for the show? How was the casting made? How did you choose all of them? I know Amr Waked. I actually worked with Amr Waked.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's the first one I worked with when I was just doing a short film. He owned a company and I did a publicity thing for them. So he was the first one who hired me, actually.
Oh, how cool. I love Amr. I mean, I met him through the casting process. I met Amr and I met Hiem through the the casting process. Actually, Hiem was on Succession. And so we didn't think we'd be able to get her on our show. So Hiem was actually my first choice, but I knew that she was on Succession, and so I kind of felt like, okay, who else can we get? And we were trying to figure out who's going to play the dad. And I actually went to Cairo and I auditioned people for like 2 weeks, and I met a bunch of actors and was trying to figure out who could play the parents. And then we ended up finding out we could use Hiem. We ended up actually, Amr at first was not available, and then he became available. But what was really cool was when we went to Cairo and I had all these audition tapes. I had like an hour of audition tapes. And it inspired even more so when we said we want to go film in Cairo, because I already had all these tapes of actors that I knew were going to be amazing. You know, I already knew that we had people we met that we loved. I mean, I remember, Boutros Ghali, a bunch of people were reading them and were like, oh man, we should go to Cairo and we should shoot with them. It's going to be really fun. So it was kind of like a worldwide search. And then a lot of it was people I knew, like Steve has been my best friend since we were 10. Mo Amer, Dave Merhej, I've known these guys for a really long time, been doing stand-up with them. May Kalamawi, who plays Dina, I'd known her and kind of had her in mind when we were writing the role. So it's a good mix of people we found and people that I've known. You know, Uncle Nassim, Laith Neckley, I've known him since I was 19. That role was written for him.
Wow. And I love Steve, of course, and
yeah,
I love that the way that he's portrayed and he's being humanized, not glorified at all. I want you to tell me, Bardo, how was your relationship with him, and how did you think about getting him into the show?
Yeah, again, like he's someone who's I've known for a while and since we were kids. And he's so funny, and I always felt like the industry doesn't know him, even though he does stand-up. But the reason why people in Hollywood don't know him is because a lot of the comedy clubs that you do stand-up at, he can't get into, you know, because of his wheelchair. And so he actually has an accessibility issue to being seen. People don't know about him because he can't get physically into a lot of the rooms that people are in. And so for me, when I had the opportunity to control the casting on my show, involving him and having his character was one of the first things that was really exciting to me when we found out we were going to get the show picked up, because it felt like not only an opportunity for him, but I think an opportunity for the show to have a character you've never seen on TV before.
Yeah.
And to me, he's really one of the most special parts of what we do.
Yeah, he's really great. I love the episode of when you went to the girl who was having drugs and stuff like this. It was very funny.
I mean, stuff that only Steve could do.
How was it shooting in Egypt? Was it different than the US?
Yeah,
I can tell you it's different.
It's a completely different experience. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's also so many people on the set. It's amazing. It's like in America, there's like one job that's maybe 2 or 3 people, and in Malta it's like 10 people, you know. And it's like it's like a different. But everyone is so excited. I mean, the support that I felt when we shot in Egypt was anything can happen. You know, anything's possible. In this way that, you know, we were shooting one scene and there was like a car parked in the way, and we were like, oh man, this car is blocking our shot. And then it's just like, you know, Hamad, you know, whatever, bunch of people, and they start moving the car. You know, it's just like they're like pushing the car down the street. It's a parked car, you know, and it's like, yeah, we're not gonna let it be in the shot. I mean, it's like I'm shooting in Khalili, and I'm like, oh man, I wish we had a kid for this scene. And within 3 minutes, there's like 2 moms with their kids. You want my kid or do you want her kid? Like, which kid do you want in the scene? You know, just like really this attitude of we will make anything happen. I appreciated it so much, and I felt really amazed too by how quick everyone worked and how amazing everyone worked. Like our set designers, I thought were unbelievable. Like we walked into some places that I'm telling you, I couldn't, it was a real, like you really had to use your imagination to imagine that you could shoot in this room tomorrow. Like really does not look like it's ready. And then by the next day, it's a whole different place. I mean, it was really, I thought.
You worked with set designers, with Egyptian set designers?
Yeah, they worked with our American, but when we came over from New York, we only brought our DOP. That's it. Everyone else we brought our DOP, our first AD. Everyone else we used was Cairo crew. Everyone. Cam up, we had sound, set design, when they're talking to some of our people in New York, but this is really, the episodes we shot in Egypt were truly a Cairo production. And, okay. I really feel like the crew that I work with in Cairo, I would rank with any of the best crews I've worked with in LA or New York. I really thought, it was amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I always suffer from the big crews. Yeah. And they always tell me that this is the way it works in Hollywood. That's why we have big crews. Obviously,
the crews are big. Masri crew is a little bit bigger, but it's okay, no problem. Why not?
You don't plan to do anything here, a movie or a TV series that is based in Egypt?
I would love to. I would love to make something that, top to bottom is a Cairo production. It would be amazing. I would love to make something just from beginning, the whole conception in Egypt would be really, really fun.
So, and when you directed episodes in the show, I know you've been nominated to the Emmys even as a director. But how do you choose the episodes that you direct, or how does it work that you direct those episodes specifically?
A lot of it is just honestly schedule, because sometimes we'll have, for example, this season, we had to shoot all of Mahershala's episodes over the course of 3 weeks. So when you have one actor in 6 episodes, but you only have 3 weeks, you don't want to spread the directors out, because then you're making directors come at all weird times. So a lot of the ones that he was in, I was directing because it was easier, because I'm always on set anyway. So a lot of it is actually really schedule based. And when we're lucky, we can kind of really focus on the story and say, oh, actually, this director would be really good for this story. Like we love pairing Shireen with Hiem, and we love pairing Shireen with May, if we can. But, it also is like, if we can't, that's okay too, because all the directors we have on our show, I think could do any of the episodes.
Yeah, I know Shireen actually. We had a short film together in Clermont-Ferrand. It was like 2006, but I never met her. I loved her short movie, but I never met her. And then I watched her feature film, America, and I loved it.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. America was something that was just, I think we were all really excited to get Shireen on board after we saw that too.
Thank you, Ramy, for being with us. It has been great. And thank you, Ayten. I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of people in the Middle East right now watching this. So a lot of the questions may have been very different from things you're getting here in the States. And that's really exciting that we're connecting you with Egypt and other parts in the Middle East. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you. This was really fun. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.